Welcome to Awkward Chats, where we take you on a hilarious journey behind the scenes of our travel adventures, and it can get a little awkward.
I'm Nacy.
And I'm Gary.
And together, we make up Lost Girl in Tomorrowland, our YouTube channel, where we go on fun adventures all across the U.S. But that wasn't enough. We wanted a place where we could talk about the real behind the scenes that goes into producing our channel.
Awkward Chats is your ticket to the real, unfiltered side of our travel adventures and a place where we can start your awkward conversations.
So buckle up and get ready for an adventure full of laughter, mishaps, and of course, awkward topics.
You can find new episodes every month, everywhere you get your podcast. This is Awkward Chats.
Welcome back to Awkward Quickies.
Yeah, in the background, you'll see my dad's new pup. This way. There she is.
There she is. Her name is Daphne.
Her name is Daphne. She's a one-eyed pooch that my dad just recently adopted from the animal shelter.
She is sweet as can be.
Yeah, but you might hear the pitter-patter of feet because that's either her or Coda.
Yeah, she's coming back. She's coming back.
She got a big old head.
She's adorable. We love her. Yeah, she wants to be on the podcast. Look at that. She's like, yeah.
We just fed them. That's why they're so.
Yeah, they're a little active right now.
But anyway, so on this week, the Awkward Quickie, we want to talk about car services. So we had a very interesting experience.
Doozy.
Yeah. I don't even know. It's so weird. I had never expected to experience something like that, but we're going to talk about it.
So we have taken several different car services, and I think we've touched on what was previously one of our worst experiences when we were in Orlando. And she loves squeakers. Yeah. Coda could care less, but she loves them.
Yeah, she loves soft things and squeakers. So we had a horrible experience in Orlando. It was really weird. We picked for the meet and greet. And if you don't know, legit tip here. So if you get picked up at the airport, definitely do a meet and greet with whatever car service that you're doing. Otherwise, it's just a Lyft or Uber or taxi. There's no difference. And you're paying.
Save yourself the money at that point.
And you're paying like 33% more at least to be picked up by them. And you're not even getting anything different.
Yeah. So we are currently staying at Gary's dad's house up here in the mountains, and it's about a 2.5 hour drive to the Atlanta airport. So for the most part, we don't because we're gone for so long, we don't really want to park our car at the Atlanta airport. So we have opted to have car service pick us up and take us to the airport.
Because if we park the car, it's going to cost us between $500 and $1,000 a trip, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Since the car service typically charges us about $200 and something.
Yeah, so we just figured cost-wise, it's easier. Somebody drives us. We don't have to think about parking. So we found a local service that's up here in the mountains that does do car services. And for our last trip to LA, they picked us up here at the house, took us to the airport. No issues there. That ride was actually pretty good. And so when we came back from LA, we were staying in Atlanta for a couple of days for a concert, which we'll talk about soon. And arranged for them to pick us up from the hotel to take us back here. Now, we were hoping we were going to have the exact same experience as we had when they picked us up. However, it all went very south very quickly, like very quickly. And it all started when he could not find the hotel.
Yeah, we were staying at a major hotel too. It was the JW Marriott in Buckhead, which is one of the bigger hotels, honestly, and it's connected to Lenox Square, which is if you're not from Atlanta, it's just a huge mall and kind of like a bougie, higher end area of, and I don't know if it's higher end, but they definitely have some money there because the stores inside were definitely geared towards those with a lot of money. Mm-hmm.
And I will, when we got dropped off by the Uber from the airport, because we had taken Uber from the airport to the hotel, I kind of saw how you have to go. You have to kind of go up like you're going into the mall, but you make a right and it kind of goes around in a circle and it brings you to the front of the hotel. There's signs everywhere.
We actually tried to get a car service from the airport and we got the same kind of skeezy vibes we did from the guy in Orlando with the whole like, oh, you want a meet and greet? That's going to be extra money. And then I asked for a quote. And then as soon as I'm like, okay, so it's going to be X amount with the extra money. Well, no, then there's a service fee and stuff. And it's like, okay, at that point, you're just being, when you ask for a quote, you want a quote about how much it's going to cost, not a close estimate, like.
So we're like, well, we'll just use the same people to take us back to your dad's.
Yep.
And I texted her like 2 days before. I was like, hey, this is where we're at. If you can pick us up, great. Let us know. She's like, yep, confirmed. one of the driver that will be taking you will call you tomorrow night to confirm. He did. I confirmed with him on the phone. It was an awkward conversation, but we still confirmed. And, 2:00, we were down in the lobby ready to go. Actually, we were down in the lobby by like 1:30, to be completely honest. Cause he said he was going to be early.
Yeah. It was just
2 p.m. came and
like,
went. 2:15 came and went. And I texted the lady who runs the car service and I was like, hey, haven't heard from so-and-so this morning. Have you heard anything? Is he running behind? And she was like, no, let me reach out to him. And at that point, I think about a few minutes later, I ended up on a 3-way call with her and him on the phone. And he was close. He was in the Lenox Square Mall, but he was not where our hotel was. And this conversation went back and forth. He was very frustrated, actually yelled a little bit at me on the phone with her on the line. So she heard that, but eventually found the hotel. And we were like, okay, maybe he was just flustered and now everything's going to be fine. Well, he parks the car out front, doesn't help us with our bags, the bellhop.
You're getting way ahead of the story. So I hadn't actually heard him or seen him, so I didn't know he was an older guy. He pulls up in this old Grand Cherokee. It's definitely older, and it's tiny for like a 2.5 hour ride. We're going to have to sit in the back of this tiny, and it's not a Grand Cherokee, I'm sorry. It's just a Cherokee. It's one of those Jeep Cherokees. It wasn't big. It wasn't anything. It was this tiny little car. And then this old guy who looked like my grandfather, I'm not kidding you, looked like my grandfather, gets out and goes, I got to go pee.
Like him too.
I got to go pee. And I was like,
oh my God, I got to pee. Do they got a bathroom? Well, yes, sir. It's a hotel.
This is Coda. In case you're watching, this is Coda right here. He kind of looks like a tiny little trash panda. So he gets out of the car and I'm just thinking like, these people just think we had our grandparent come and pick us up.
Yeah.
Because he's angry.
Ornery.
He's upset. We haven't even talked to him yet. So he's not angry at us. We have no idea why he's so upset at this point. And I'm already thinking, I'm like, maybe we should just like rent a car and drive back at this point because I don't want to sit in the back of that Jeep for 2.5 hours. First, it's not going to be comfortable. And we haven't even smelled it yet, which, surprise, it didn't
smelled
smell
like
good.
old man balls. And if you don't know what old man balls smells like, it's what the nursing home smells like when you go into a room that's mostly male and they haven't really cleaned it in a while.
So then he pops the trunk as he's running out to go to the bathroom. The bellhop guy, at least they helped us this time because when we got there, they were nowhere to be found. He put the luggage in the car, which was really nice of him. But then we didn't have enough room, so we had to put our backpacks up in the front. Now we told them that we have 2 suitcases, and they've also taken us before, so they knew exactly what we left with. We had 2 suitcases, and they're bigger suitcases, and then we have 2 backpacks. That's what we travel with. So we had to put the backpacks in his front seat, the seat next to him. So of course that upset him when he came back. But you know, he was busy peeing and wasn't helping us actually put anything in the car. So
well, yeah, he seemed to think that we could put it by our feet, but like our book bags are big.
Yeah, and there's no way. And there's a tiny space between us that maybe we could have fit one of them, but we wouldn't have been able to fit Nacy's. Nacy's is too big.
Yeah, mine's huge.
And mine has a lot of stuff in it that's expensive, and I'm not going to squeeze it into a space.
Yeah.
So we got that all set up.
And then we spent the next 10 minutes with him yelling at the GPS.
Then he comes back to the car. He didn't even use the bathroom.
No.
Apparently he couldn't find it, which is a sign of things to come, just in case you're listening. There's a sign of things to come.
Yeah. So
he gets in the car.
And I was like, hey, can we stop at the Chase that's like around the corner? Literally, like around the corner, probably in the same parking lot. Well, I thought we were going to Young Harris. I was like, well, yep, we are. But I need to stop at the bank and get some cash so that I can pay you.
Which, by the way, isn't a deal. They actually allow us to do that in case you're listening.
Yeah.
If you do a car service over a few hours, typically they allow you to make some stops. As long as you're not there for a long period of time, you're grabbing like a soda or whatever, they're 100% cool with
stopping. Need to go to the bathroom.
Because they stop for gas. So it's not like, they always have to stop for gas. It's just how it works.
Coda has joined the show. He's apparently very upset about our car service as well. So we went back and forth for a quick second. He was trying to put the address for the Chase in, couldn't figure it out. So finally...
And this is his car, y'all. They're owner-operators, so the cars that they drive are theirs. I don't know why. He kept forgetting to push the button that would enable you to talk.
At us. Like,
so
he's just
So we're sitting, just picture this, y'all. We're sitting underneath one of those canopies, right? Because that's kind of like, it was a fancier hotel. So it had like a drive up area with a canopy. There are people outside the car. His windows are down in the front. And he's just yelling directions to nobody because the car's not listening either because he kept forgetting to push the button. And I'm like, hey, you can type. And then he would cut me off. And I'd be like, hey, you got to push and he would just cut me off.
I stopped answering.
And then Nacy shut down. So Nacy's in the corner shut down. And I'm just like, so
I was crying.
So then he finally pushes the button and I'm like, this is the address. I'm saying my father's address. And then he repeats my father's address to the thing. So it thought it said it twice. So it had no idea what it was doing. And it's like, I'm sorry, that address doesn't exist. And so the next time I'm like, hey, just let me say it. And he pushes the button. I say the address and it catches it. And I'm like, okay, after 10 minutes of you yelling at the car, making us feel weird. Like I've never felt so awkward.
It was traumatizing.
Nacy said it to my dad when she was telling the story. It was like being your grandfather showed up. He's pissed off for some reason. Has nothing to do with you. He's just pissed off and he showed up.
And you're going on a family vacation or something.
Yeah. Now you got a family vacation of 2.5 hour drive that you somehow have to figure out how to like manage. Mm-hmm. It was so uncomfortable, you all. I can't even explain it to you. And it gets better. So then he's leaving. He's leaving that little drive. He goes to make a left.
It's a one-way street.
The only thing is it's a one-way street with curbing. So he was going to turn right into these cars coming right for us.
We're like, no, go right, go right.
Right.
Like, oh, yeah.
This is the worst day of my life. As he kept saying, this is the worst day of my life.
And then he kept like huffing. He was like,
And then it would be like, make a left. And he'd keep driving straight. And then it'd be like, make a left. And he'd keep driving straight. And make a left. And he'd keep driving straight. And it was like, we are never going to get out of this mall at this point.
Mm-hmm. And then he was cutting people off left and right.
So it finally ran out of room and he had to get on the actual roads around Buckhead. And for those who've never been in Atlanta, if you've been in a big city that has like 2 major roads and everybody and their mother in the Southeast have to drive through them if they're going somewhere, that's Atlanta traffic. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. And he was not prepared for it. He was swerving in and out of traffic. He had alarms for when he would encroach on lanes or when he'd get too close to people nonstop for the next like
beep,
10
beep,
minutes.
Beep, beep. And then you hear as somebody honked at him. Beep, 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 beep.
It was so uncomfortable, but I'm like, you know what? Once we get onto the 575 or whatever that is to go north, it shouldn't be too bad because traffic typically does sort of lessen out there. And I'm like, okay, if we can make it there, we'll be okay. But then the doozy comes and we're driving and we're trying to get onto 575 and there's this huge dump truck, a big old dump truck sitting in the left lane, dead stop, hasn't moved. He switches to the left lane and punches it.
Starts gassing.
And then all of a sudden we're like, you've got to get out of this lane. Right, brake, something. All of a sudden he switches to the right lane. The car behind him luckily saw this and slowed down. Of course, lighten up its horn, understandably. No hate to that guy.
And he's still slamming on his brakes too because he was going too fast. He had to slow down to get over. And we're like...
And the other lane wasn't moving either. So it's not like there was a lot of space to go there. And we almost hit him. We literally missed the guy. Gosh,
inches.
I would say maybe a foot or two, really.
Yeah.
And I was scary. And I was like, that's it for me. Like, that's it for me. You clearly can't drive. I don't know why you're so angry or frustrated, but this is not going to work for me. So I texted her and I'm like, hey, there's some chases coming up. Let's get him to stop at one. We'll go there. We'll talk out what our next step is, whether we get out of this car or what, because we've never done anything like this.
No, we've never had this problem. And we've taken lots of drivers, whether it's an Uber or another taxi service or a limousine service.
She's squeaking her ducky.
She's squeaking.
That's Daphne. So we're like, okay, so we don't really know what to do. I'm like, you need to text the lady. We'll start there. And hopefully by the time we get to the chase, she'll have responded because the chase was only like an exit up. And I'm like, hey, so there's a chase. It's the next one. Oh, okay.
Wherever you want to go, boss.
Whatever you want to go, boss. And I hate when people call me boss. I've talked about this on other episodes. I don't appreciate that. I'm not your boss. I'm literally just somebody.
Because it's so condescending. It's not even like they're doing it.
And by the way, if I'm your boss, why are you yelling at me?
That.
So I was like, yeah, it's just this first exit. Oh, what road off the exit? And I'm like, let's just follow my maps and we'll go right there. It was literally the first exit off the road. So we took exit 1 off of whatever it was.
And made a right and then another right.
Yeah. And it was literally right there. It wasn't 5 minutes. And then just like whatever, but he wants the specific details. And I'm like, dude, you don't even know where you're going. And then he's like yelling out these roads like he knows where he is. And I'm like, I don't have any faith that you have any idea where we are right now, but I don't care either. I just want to get to this chase and get out of this car. So
Dogs.
So she texted him. We haven't heard anything back from the boss lady yet, which no big deal.
Yeah.
We get to the chase. I'm like, hey, I'm going to go inside. So we both get out. We go inside. He's like, oh, you think they have a bathroom inside? I'm like, I have no idea. This is the first time we've ever been to this chase. How would we know?
I don't know what time they close. I mean, I don't know.
So we scanned to get in. He, of course, got in too. He goes and does whatever. We're sitting at the thing. I'm like, you just go outside and call her at this point because like texting her, she's not getting back. Maybe she's busy. So Nacy goes outside and calls. He comes back outside and he's like, he mumbled something, got back in the car. I don't think they let him use the bathroom either.
Probably not. Whatever. But I called her and I explained to her the same thing that I texted. And she was like, I'm so sorry that's happening. She's like, I'm going to come and get you guys. She was like, I'm really sorry this is happening. She's really excited she got this like big dragon that's like tons of squeakers in it. And every day she just gets a little, it's interesting to watch her come out of her shell. Like if you've ever adopted a dog from a shelter, it takes time for them to start to like warm up to you. And like she went into the kitchen today, this thing that's behind us, if you're watching, and she hadn't gone into the kitchen yet. So like, you know, she doesn't like narrow spaces. She does only have one eye. But yeah, she's sweet over there. So I called the lady and she was like, I'm going to come get you guys. It's going to take me a minute. I was like, okay, well, what do we do about him? Because I really just don't like confrontation. And I've already spent like the first 15 minutes of this drive in absolute tears. And it took a lot for me to get myself back together to even like get to this point. And she's like, don't worry about it. I'll call him. And we were like, okay. So we kind of just gathered ourselves together. We walked back over to the car. We opened the trunk. We didn't ask for him to pump it. We just opened that trunk.
We just opened the trunk, got our bags out. Closed the trunk, and then we opened the side door, got our bags out, and we're like, you have a good day. And
must have been a sight to see, because I'm not sure how many people go to a Chase bank and like unload suitcases and book bags, but nonetheless, I didn't give a shit. And I was like, I'm sorry, this just isn't going to work out. We called your boss, like, you know, she's going to come and get us, and closed the door.
We thought that was it. We went on the sidewalk, and now we're debating, like, okay,
what do we do next?
There was 2 restaurants. There was a Buffalo Wild Wings, and then there was like this.
It was a burger place.
Yeah, it was like a fast food burger place, but it wasn't like a McDonald's or anything. It was more just like a tiny like fast food burger place. And we're like, which one do you want to go to? He gets out of the car, and he's like, you gonna pay me?
You gonna pay me?
And I was like, and I literally look at him. I'm like, no. I'm like, your boss is coming. We'll pay her.
And you can figure out how you get paid at that point.
That was it. I didn't even say that part. I just like, your boss is coming. We'll pay her.
Yeah.
And then he got back in his car. Apparently he yelled at us when we closed the trunk, not to close the trunk or something, according to the lady who came later. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't really that loud.
Yeah. But he was loud when he was at the hotel.
Yeah, he was loud and angry. But he wasn't really loud and angry at us. He was loud and angry at the car. And then we sort of got the repercussions of that when he would talk to us. So it was really... Again, he had other things that were going on that were clearly had nothing to do with us, but it was also a situation that we didn't want to be in either. So it was just this weird, like, we know we didn't cause the anger, but you clearly have a lot of anger for some reason.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah. So we decided that we needed to leave the scene.
Because he was just sitting there staring at us. And I'm like, if we don't leave, he's just going to sit here. And I don't have any interest in this anymore. Because, again, that's just going to cause more clashes where he's going to come out and try to get the money. I knew that was what was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's just move to the BW3.
I don't know what's wrong with Coda.
Yeah.
Other than he also agrees that we were having a bad day that day.
All right.
So we wheeled our little suitcase. Well, they weren't little. We wheeled our suitcases into the Buffalo Wild Wings. And I was like, hey, can we have like that corner over there? Because we got 2 suitcases and just want to kind of talk back.
Fine.
They were actually fine. The restaurant was empty. So
yeah, it was weird. It's funny too. We had filmed every day for the last like week. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take one day off. I figure it's just going to be a car service up to the mountains. There's going to be
Nothing to see here.
And every time I do that, we have these weird things happen to us.
And it's not on tape.
And it's like, it's just crazy. Well, there's a lot of stuff that we have on tape that was weird and crazy. I'm just saying this one time that we decided not to film, it's like, it just never stops with us.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because we travel so much. We travel so much. If you think about it, in the last week, we've probably used at least 10 to 15 different car services between Lyfts and Ubers and actual car services, that we do it so much that we had 14 good ones. It's just we had one really bad one, whereas most people won't have 15 in a year, you know?
Yep.
So if you're listening to us and you're like, wow, you crazy. You always have bad experiences. It's not that.
No.
It's just we're doing this so much that we keep running
We just
into
pull
horrible
that wild
things.
card and it's like, oh, this one's going to be the tricky one. Now, we did actually have a fairly decent experience at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay. They were watching some soccer games, which was super exciting. But the food was good.
Yeah, the food wasn't bad. We had a snack. We had some chicken wings and I had a drink. You had a beer or two. And the lady came and got us as promised. She was really nice.
Yeah, she came in like a nice Chrysler, which barely fit our stuff. But I would definitely say a legit tip. If you have to use a car service, be cautious. You don't have to avoid them entirely, but be cautious if they're owner operators, because the first guy's car, the seats were uncomfortable. The car was not clean. Whereas the second lady's was really clean, really comfortable. It worked well. So you really are tossing the coin here to see if you're going to get a decent ride.
And once we kind of got situated, pleasantries out of the way, little chit chat. We were on our way. We weren't going to get back till 7 p.m.
Yeah, we were supposed to get back at 4, y'all. We didn't end up here till like 7:30.
And I passed out. I fell asleep because it is a bit of a drive.
I'll let you in a minute.
And we made it back safe and sound. She didn't end up charging us. She was like, I just hope you guys use this again. So we will be using it one more time. We're going to give him one more chance.
Again, the first time it was fantastic. The guy was really nice, had a big minivan. He was a little kooky, but in a good way. And he was listening, when I say he's kooky, he was listening to ABBA, and then he stopped listening to ABBA like he didn't like it, but he was the one who chose ABBA and played all of ABBA. And then he acted like he didn't like it. And I'm like, why did you choose ABBA in the first place? Then he's just a kooky guy. But the ride was great.
Yeah. So we're gonna give it a shot for our next trip to the airport. But it was one of the most fascinating driver experiences that we've had.
So a couple quick legit tips for you if you're thinking of car service. First off, if you're meeting at the airport, make sure you get a meet and greet. The second part is don't let them charge you more for a meet and greet. That's why you get a car service. Between Uber and a car service, that's the difference, is they meet you at the airport, inside the airport, and they take your luggage out to the car. If you don't get that, then you're just getting an Uber or a Lyft. Or a taxi. Well, we count Uber, Lyft, taxis all as the same thing. Just
and if you paid for it, they better be walking their ass in there.
Yep. And again, you're paying about 33% more. So let's say that if it's $200 for an Uber, it's probably going to be about $3 something for the car service. That's kind of on average. So if you're paying that a little bit more, you want something from that. You don't just want it to be. Be cautious of owner operators. Again, we've talked about that in the past. And if they're hesitant to actually say what they're going to do, move on to the next one, because they're not going to do anything. It's going to be an Uber or Lyft experience. So those are our sort of 4 big legit tips we wanted to add on to the end of our car service fun. Because again, we've probably taken 200 to 300 in the last year.
Yeah, and they're not all bad. It's just sometimes you just pull the wild card and you end up with a crazy experience. And if you're ever in that same situation, you just don't feel comfortable, just walk away.
Yeah, just walk away. It's not worth getting in a car accident. That's what my sister said too. She's like, it's crazy that you're stuck there. But we had a backup plan. We were just going to rent a car and drive up here if that's what it'll turn out to be. But it's better to get out and live than to ride and die like a cowboy.
Yeah, it's not worth it. So I hope you guys enjoyed
our awkward quickie.
And we'll come and get you guys for the next one.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.